Today I run to review what I've invested recently, and it starts with two names that you might not expect, and subsequently there's two names that I already have in big amounts and I've invested further into them. I'll share with you exactly why. The first name that you might not expect is actually a US stock, a software company. I'm not an expert on its business, but I've definitely seen its products. As of now, I'm mainly buying it from a trading perspective, and I'll share with you some concerns that I have on it also. The second one is actually a Singapore stock, a small cap one. Value investors used to love it many years ago, but it's kind of forgotten already. Very illiquid, and therefore I'm only starting a small position. The third and fourth one, if you're a fan of this channel, you kind of know I'm bullish on them for quite a while already. And that's why in this tutorial, I'm focusing more on the first two names, but I'll still give you latest updates on these two companies that I have big positions in. So if you're keen to hear more, continue watching. Hi guys, welcome back. First things first, let me address where this money from investing has actually came from. Some are actually from my Palantir share sales. I've shared in my previous video, which I'll leave towards the end of this also. I'm reallocating a bit from Palantir out towards non-AI ideas. So without further ado, let me share with you the first stock that I've bought that is in US also, and it's none other than Adobe. Adobe's software, we all are kind of familiar, correct? And its most profitable brands are none other than Photoshop as well as Illustrator. Adobe Sign is widely used also. And unlike some of its competitors like DocuSign, Adobe has consistently shown growing profits. Latest quarterly earnings have beaten estimates yet again. And on a yearly basis, you would see that profit numbers look very strong. 2025 is a record year. But what happened? If you pull out a share chart, you realize this. What in the world is going on? Why is the share price sliding that much? 43% down since 2024. Shouldn't the share price be at all-time high if profits are all-time high? Not easy to answer, but my best guess to explain it is that market is seeing a future. A different one whereby software services are challenged. And the reason is none other than AI. AI is the biggest challenge that Adobe is faced. It's possibly more threatening to Adobe than Figma, which is a competitor, or Canva, which is a private company that's also a competitor. AI can generate anything we want these days, correct? And sometimes for free even. And the worst part is we don't know how far it will develop until, which means also investors who are looking multi-years ahead need to think whether Adobe's profitability will be compromised or not. And to be specific, Adobe is on a subscription model to make profits, which means big risk. If subscribers start to cancel, profits could drop. So far it hasn't, but we really don't know the future. That's why investors who are looking multi-years ahead have priced in their concern. That, in my opinion, is the reason why share prices tumbled for the last 2 years from 600 to now in the 300s. But actually right now, I see something different. Adobe's share price actually cracked this $330 to possibly, because I don't have a crystal ball in the future, to form this bottoming process. Then what happened after that? There was a sharp buying pressure, correct? And for myself, I see this as a reversal. I don't know if this reversal is permanent. It could be a dead cat bounce. I don't know if this reversal is for how long. And that's why I'm also not sure if being an investor right now is a great idea or not. Let me give you one example to explain. Alibaba had also been beaten down in the last few years. It cracked $80 specifically in 2023. Appeared to be gone case already, correct? But actually that was the very bottom when Xi Jinping was renominated. Then what we see after that? A sharp spike because market overcorrects on the downside and then there has to be a normalization. That sharp spike would look great in real time, correct? 88% gains. But on hindsight, there was still a further 2 more years of pain. 2 more years, not just 2 more quarters and then rally all the way up. 2 more years whereby Alibaba languished around 100 only. Could Adobe also face a similar situation whereby it looks like a value trap? I'm aware of this possibility and I understand also that buying Adobe right now seems like a bet against AI, which I don't really want to be in for the long term. Hence, I'll probably be exiting if I get a good price from Mr. Market. Let me know your questions in the sections below and let me also invite you to the upcoming Georgetown Investment Summit 2026. On a Saturday, there's an event. On a Sunday, I've also planned one. And the title reads, Storms Are Ahead, correct? This will be a fully education summit held in SMU School of Accountancy. And in this summit, you learn why I feel storms are ahead. Not that we should be afraid of storms. Storms actually present opportunities. You also hear how I've actually changed my own investment portfolio and all the latest REITs strategies, and you also hear how you can build towards your own financial freedom. This will be a ticketed event and seats are limited because of the classroom size, and we've always sold out for the last 5 summits. Thank you very much, and let me move on next to the second name we have for today, which is a Singapore stock. I mentioned that value investors used to love it but forgot about it already. Very illiquid, and therefore I've also started a very small position. This company is none other than Vicom. Don't laugh at it, Vicom. For many years, Vicom was thought of as a company with a very strong moat in car inspection. It commands 72% plus of market share, and in 2024, that dominance even accelerated. You can laugh about its total addressable market, TAM, which means it only serves the Singapore market, correct? But what we cannot deny is that its moat is pretty strong. That is also the reason why the share price grew a lot in 2010s. It did a 10-bagger to its peak, and then it did a stock split around then. That is also the reason why, if you check for charts, you realize that you may only find something in the last 5 years, and not historically. Then what happened after that? COVID came, correct? And as we can guess, car inspection, which is a non-essential service, was not really needed. If I'm not wrong, I was even allowed to postpone my inspection because of COVID. And that's one of the reasons why Vicom's profit actually plunged. Today, Vicom has recovered from there already, and it's built up a net cash of $42 million, which means after cash price earnings ratio may be around 17 times, historically cheap. In addition, forward earnings, forward PE, could be around 14 times because third quarter net profits jumped actually 45% year on year to $9.9 million. The headline reads, Vicom installs more OBU units. We are moving to ERP2. All cars need to install it, including yours also if you own one, and also due to more vehicle inspections. In my understanding, Q4 will be a strong quarter also. That's because there's still further OBU installation until the end of the year. I'm also guessing there's a new wave of electric car inspections in the years to come ahead. We are, after all, as a nation, in a car replacement cycle, and as of October 2025, you see a 23.3% year-on-year increment in new car purchases. The reason is more COEs and more electric vehicles on the roads due to government initiatives. Even for myself, I'm buying a... Don't tell you first, smash the subscribe. I am on a non-guaranteed bid, so once it's confirmed, then I'll share with you the numbers as well as my decision. So if you're keen, smash the subscribe. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll share with you the news, hopefully somewhere in first quarter 2026. First name I'll cover for today is Adobe, second name is Vicom. Let me share with you the third and fourth companies, which are companies I own already in big amounts, and they are none other than iFast and Hong Kong Exchange. iFast showed great results in third quarter. iFast Hong Kong jumped in profits. Its global bank has actually also turned profitable. In my opinion also, iFast is a no-brainer for the MAS 5 billion EQDP program. As one of the best small mid-cap companies, I do expect iFast to join STI index at some point. Hence, with this pullback, I've actually continued to add into iFast, as you can see over here. Fourth name for today, Hong Kong Exchange. Hong Kong is one of the hottest IPO markets currently. It records 16% of volume, 33% of proceeds, and $36 billion raised, which is beating its US counterparts. Then I don't know if you've seen this or not. A very hyped IPO in Shanghai, although not in Hong Kong, which is actually none other than China's Nvidia equivalent. More threats. Its IPO soared 425%, which signals real bullishness in the Chinese tech market. I recently went to Shenzhen, and I came out of it feeling even more optimistic about China. In my understanding, Chinese firms, if they want international recognition, they have to at least consider a dual listing in Hong Kong, because that's the gateway to the world. That's also the reason why, even with Hong Kong Exchange share price dropping, I've been consistently buying more, as you can see over here. Total position size for Hong Kong Exchange in my portfolio is almost 100,000 already, and I'm still comfortable adding to it. So if you're keen to find out more, 2 ways: come down again to the Georgetown Investment Summit and check out this previous video I have on Hong Kong Exchange, which is a full tutorial of it. Thank you very much for listening right to the end, and I'll see you there too. Invest safely as always, take care and goodbye.